May come back to that question, but now Senator Moody, the
Madam
sponsor of
Chair.
the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Minister, for being here. It's been a pleasure working with you as a sponsor of this bill, and I'm sure the committee is going to benefit from your testimony today. I'd like to throw a hard ball. Sorry. I think many of us and many Canadians would be concerned about the use of this fund for the creation of private childcare spaces instead of public spaces. What assurance can you give us that the government is committed to a public system, even if it must, at times, butt heads with the provinces to build it?
That's not a hardball question.
Good.
It's a great question, and it's an important question because, ultimately, it is our job as the government to ensure that public funds are spent wisely and to the greatest impact. And as we build out this system with our partners, that is front and center. I'll use an example. Private sector spaces exist across this country for a number of very valid reasons. And for example, here in Ontario, right now we have 30% of spaces are private spaces and 70% are public. As we move forward and as the agreements have been signed, of course, we recognize that there is still a role for those private spaces, but we have asked through our agreements that those spaces grow at the same proportion as public spaces. So we will never see a case in Ontario where it exceeds 30% private. The public spaces, of course, research has shown provides all of the things that we are asking for. It abides by our principles as we build out this system. And so the quality of our national system is, of course, one of our biggest priorities. And we do believe that as we build out this system, that public is where we will see the highest quality and the best value for Canadian families.
Followed by Senator Meji.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I would like to continue with the questions that my colleague has started on. I had the exact question here to ask, but I want to go further because there is a tension here. We are sitting squarely in provincial jurisdiction. The federal government brings money to the table, sets the policy, and this legislation will determine the conditions under which the money is provided. You talk about putting in a line that matches, parallels what is in healthcare. That's the area that I come from. And we grapple with what happens, what's the accountability factor that actually moves into place when there is an infraction of the Healthcare Act. Are you comfortable with the federal government pulling funding from the provinces if they don't meet requirements? Or is there another mechanism that you see and would like to see put in place? And this is for Professor McQuaid, because I also was referring back to the Atkinson document that you provided us with.
I am quite comfortable with you withholding, with the federal government withholding funding from provinces that don't meet their contractual obligations. And in fact, you have quite strong language in some of the agreements. In Ontario's in particular, you say that you will withhold money if Ontario doesn't put in the level of controls over what can go to the for-profit sector. But that was the first draft that the province came out with was very good and would actually have done something. But because of the corporate lobby, it was changed, and like within weeks it was changed. So it speaks to this you know, we can talk about the political will, but I mean, there's a very strong will there that's in the, you know, that is in the for-profit sector. The other thing is, and you may want to consider this, the provinces, the federal government has many, you know, federal city agreements which take place. I mean, there are other avenues through which you could work with the coalition of the willing that actually want to address, you know, the challenges and seek the solutions for having a world-class childcare system.
Thank you.